Howdy, folks! Bear Grylls here, and let me tell you, I've seen my fair share of incredible survival stories. But some stories, they stick with you, claw their way into your heart. This here's one of them. It's about loyalty, courage, the kind you only find in the wild, and in the heart of a true hero. Our story takes us to the rugged wilderness of Montana, where a man named Jake and his trusty Blue Heeler Scout were as thick as thieves. Jake, a seasoned outdoorsman, had rescued Scout from a local shelter a few years back. Right from the get-go, they were inseparable. Scout, with his piercing blue eyes and boundless energy, was Jake's constant companion. They'd explored every nook and cranny of the Montana backcountry together. They were two peas in a pod, bound by a love for adventure and a deep respect for the wild. Now, Jake knew the mountains like the back of his hand. He respected their power, their unpredictability. But even the most experienced outdoorsman can find himself in a tight spot. And that's where our story takes a turn. It was a crisp fall morning in October 2022. The air was sharp with the scent of pine needles and damp earth. The leaves were turning, painting the mountainsides in vibrant hues of gold, crimson, and rust. Jake and Scout set out on a trail they knew well, eager to embrace the beauty of the Montana wilderness. The trail wound its way through dense forests of towering pines, and alongside crystal-clear streams that gurgled and danced over smooth, moss-covered rocks. The sun, a golden orb in the azure sky, cast long shadows that danced and flickered as they hiked. Jake, with his trusty compass and map in hand, navigated the familiar terrain with ease. Scout, his tail wagging excitedly, bounded ahead, sniffing at the ground, chasing after squirrels, his senses alive to the sights and sounds of their wilderness playground. They were in their element, at peace in the heart of nature's embrace. As the day wore on, they ventured deeper into the wilderness, the trail becoming steeper, more challenging. But Jake and Scout were unfazed, their spirits high, their bond unbreakable. Little did they know that fate had a cruel twist in store, a test of their bond that would push them to their very limits. The sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the mountainside. Jake decided to set up camp for the night, finding a clearing near a rushing stream. He gathered firewood while Scout happily chased fallen leaves. "Best spot yet, eh, Scout?" Jake chuckled, scratching Scout behind the ears. Scout barked in agreement, his tail thumping a steady rhythm against the forest floor. As darkness fell, Jake got a fire going, the flames casting a warm glow against the towering pines. He shared his dinner of beans and jerky with Scout, the two enjoying the peace and quiet of the wilderness. After dinner, Jake settled back against a log, gazing up at the star-studded sky. The Milky Way stretched across the heavens, a celestial river of light. Scout snuggled close, resting his head on Jake's lap. A sudden shift in the wind brought a chill to the air, and the first flakes of snow began to fall. "Early snow this year," Jake muttered, pulling his jacket tighter. He decided to turn in for the night, figuring they'd head back down at first light. He snuggled into his sleeping bag, Scout curled up beside him for warmth. The snow fell steadily throughout the night, blanketing the forest in a pristine white. The silence was broken only by the occasional crackle of the dying fire and the soft whisper of the wind through the trees. Jake woke with a start, a strange sense of unease settling over him. He sat up, his heart pounding in his chest. Something was wrong. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Section 5. Every second counts. He reached for his flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness. That's when he saw it. A large tree, uprooted by the wind and heavy snow, had fallen directly across the path, blocking their way down the mountain. Panic surged through Jake. They were trapped. He tried to move the massive trunk, but it wouldn't budge. Desperation clawed at him. They were stranded, miles from civilization, with a snowstorm raging around them. "Don't worry, boy," Jake said, trying to keep his voice steady. "We'll figure something out." But deep down, fear gnawed at his resolve. He knew time was running out. He rummaged through his backpack, his supplies dwindling. He had to find a way to signal for help, but who would be out in this weather? Section 6. A flicker of hope. Just when hope began to dwindle, Jake remembered something. He'd packed an emergency whistle, a last resort he'd hoped he'd never have to use. He frantically searched his pack, his fingers numb with cold. "Aha!" he exclaimed, relief washing over him as his hand closed around the small metal whistle. He brought it to his lips and blew with all his might. The shrill sound pierced the silence, echoing through the snow-laden trees. He waited, his heart pounding in his chest, listening for any sign of life. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Just when he was about to give in to despair, he heard it. A faint bark, distant but unmistakable. Section 7. Man's best friend, indeed. Scout, sensing the urgency of the situation, perked up. His ears pricked, his body tense. He whined softly, nudging Jake's hand with his nose as if to say, "I'm here, what can I do?" Jake looked at his loyal companion, a surge of hope coursing through him. "Scout," he said, his voice firm. "Go get help, boy. Go get help." Scout, as if understanding the gravity of the situation, didn't hesitate. He barked once, a sharp, determined bark, and then he was gone, disappearing into the swirling snow, following the scent of civilization, a beacon of hope in the blinding whiteout. Jake watched him go, his heart filled with a mixture of fear and pride. He was alone, injured, and exposed to the elements. But Scout was out there, racing against time. His loyalty and courage their only hope. Section 8. The Long Road to Recovery. Hours crawled by, each one an eternity. The snow continued to fall, relentlessly, mercilessly. Jake huddled in his sleeping bag, his body shivering uncontrollably, his mind racing. He clung to the hope that Scout would find help, that they would be reunited. Just when his strength began to fade, he heard the distant drone of a helicopter, its sound growing louder, closer. His heart leaped with joy. Scout had done it. He had brought help. The helicopter circled overhead, its powerful searchlight cutting through the snowstorm, illuminating the clearing. Jake, mustering the last of his strength, stumbled out from under the fallen tree, waving his arms frantically. The helicopter landed nearby, and two rescuers, bundled in thick parkas, rushed to his aid. They helped him into the warmth of the helicopter, his body numb with cold and exhaustion. As they lifted off, he looked back, searching for any sign of Scout. Section 9, the unbreakable bond. "Don't worry," one of the rescuers assured him. "Your dog stayed with the rescue team. He's a real hero, you know." Relief washed over Jake, so profound it brought tears to his eyes. Scout was safe. They were both safe. He had survived, thanks to the courage and loyalty of his four-legged best friend. The helicopter touched down in a clearing near the base of the mountain, where an ambulance was waiting. Jake was rushed to the hospital, suffering from hypothermia and exhaustion. But he would recover. He was alive. As he lay in the hospital bed, his body slowly regaining its warmth, his thoughts drifted back to Scout, his loyal companion, his savior. He couldn't wait to see him, to thank him, to hold him close. Section 10, Life After the Rescue. True to the rescuer's word, Scout was there, waiting patiently at the hospital entrance when Jake was finally released. The reunion was joyous, filled with tail wags, happy barks, and tears of relief. News of Scout's heroic actions spread like wildfire. He became a local celebrity, his story a testament to the unbreakable bond between a man and his dog. He was even awarded a medal for his bravery by the town's mayor. Jake recovered fully from his ordeal, but the experience left an indelible mark on him. He realized the true depth of Scout's loyalty and the preciousness of life. He vowed to never take either for granted again. Section 11, A Grateful Heart. And that, folks, is the story of Jake and Scout, a testament to the power of courage, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between a man and his dog. It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity, hope and love can prevail. So, the next time you're out in the wilderness, remember Jake and Scout's story. Respect the power of nature, be prepared for the unexpected, and cherish the bond you share with your animal companions. They just might surprise you with their strength, their loyalty, and their unwavering love. And hey, if you enjoyed this incredible tale of survival and companionship, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more amazing stories from the wild. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and always remember, never underestimate the power of a true bond.